Okay, we have something alarming to talk about real quick. And before we get into that, I need to show you guys fan art, but I'm just going to go ahead and let you guys know. There's a bit of a trigger warning on this one. Just lot o gun, lot o kid, lot o people being mad at immigrants. There you go. You've had your trigger warnings. Let's go ahead and see what's going on here. This is fan art from Gideon Wells. They said it is a Blizzy-inspired onesie. And you know what? That is adorable. That is very adorable. It's the fucking bio lizard. Pan says, am I the only one who wants to nom Suris' ears? Wait, nope. Wrong time to say that. Ha! Okay, fair enough. Anyway, Blizzy-inspired. I think it's cute. Thank you, Gideon Wells, for the fan art submission. If you want your fan art to be submitted and put into a follow-up video, then please drop it into the fan art section of the Discord. That said, all right, let's go ahead and take a look at this. So this is an evangelical church in the South. I do not know the name of it offhand, but this is at a gathering filled mostly with children, and it is a demonstration being put on by the church. The rest of this, I've already warned you about. So, I gave you all trigger warnings. You all had the ability to back away. You are here. So, just out of curiosity, in what context would this be deemed acceptable? Because I cannot think of one. I can't. Now, the person who posted this claimed that this was in Kentucky. It's an evangelical church organized. They did a mock firing squad execution of immigrants in front of children who attended a summer camp. That is what their claim is. I do not know if that is what the context is. I am uncertain. We will finish the video, and then we're going to talk about why the fuck this isn't okay. So, I'm just curious to each of you, which part of this do you think is more terrifying? Is it having the person there being shot? Is it the church thinking that that was okay in the first place? Or is it the group of children laughing about it and being normalized to it? Now, for me, it's the latter. For me, the part that terrifies me about this more than anything is the fact that there's a group of children there that are growing up seeing this as normal, and then they're going to post on Twitter when they get older about how we need to bring back public executions, because for them, that's fucking nostalgia.
You gotta love this. I've been thinking about this all day. 1, 2, 3, 4. What's after 4? 5, 6. What's after 6? 7, 8.
So, yeah, it is. It is all bad. Every aspect about it is bad. So I'm just curious, if you were trying to normalize the ideas of authoritarianism and fascism to people, how would you go about doing it? Well, according to Jesus and John Wayne, one of the ways you would do that is capturing the hearts and minds of people through their religion. If you agree with the Seven Mountains mandate, you would agree that that's also what you do. Lady Merlin says, that's a vacation Bible school lesson? Yes. Yeah, this is vacation Bible school. If you wanted to make it easier to have a country get taken over by a fascistic regime, the way you would go about it is, well, twofold. One, you would use the dominant religion in the area to make it seem like what you're doing is great. Two, you would normalize it to the following generation because they are the ones most likely to overthrow you in a few years. Said found their Facebook? Wait, you found the Facebook of the church that did this? Oh, boy.
Thought from the pastor study, I want to address this firestorm concerning the clip that's been sent, I guess, everywhere. I'm quite frankly befuddled.
Befuddled by what? Befuddled that it was sent everywhere? Or befuddled at people's responses?
The misinformation out there it's sad.
In what context was it okay?
And I guess it's a part of what this generation has become. And concerning the clip that has been shared, it was nothing more than a small part of our vacation Bible school.
Yeah. Not one person is denying that. What? No. There's nobody here who's saying that this wasn't from your vacation Bible school. The problem is that it was, in fact, part of it, you dumbass.
For 32 years, Vacation Bible School, we have characters every year that represent good and right and God. And we have characters that represent evil and wrong and that which should be avoided.
Right, but what you've done is you've normalized the idea of attending a public execution to children. That's the part there. It has nothing to do with who you think is right, who you think is wrong. It's the fact that you are normalizing barbaric behavior to young children in their formative years. That is the problem.
We every year, through skits and songs and games and just a lot of fun, we make church a fun place, a happy place. A happy place.
So I'm just curious, real quick. Irrespective of who or what represents good or evil, I'm just curious. Yeah, Chrisick says, look, I've been to a lot of vacation Bible school, but nobody staged an execution with guns. Yeah, that never happened to me either, and I went to vacation Bible school damn near every fucking year. Like, I would go to multiples. I would go to the ones that Pensacola Christian Academy was holding. I would go to the ones that my friend's church was holding. I'd go to the ones that we were holding at our church. Like, they just, I went to many of them, and not once in the fucking, maybe it was because it was Florida, South, did I ever see something as fucking dystopian as that.
A place where we hate sin, but we love the sinner.
So you publicly executed him. You hated the sin, but you loved the sinner, so you communicated that with, gun!
A place where we exalt Jesus and we hate the devil.
Pan says, did they actually shoot the person or was it staged? Like, either way, it's not okay, but they actually killed him and it makes the thing so much worse. No, it's a staged execution. They didn't actually kill a person. They just normalized the idea of doing that to children. Japagio says, man, what happened to Bible Man? How did we get from Bible Man to this? Jesus and John Wayne.
I think you'd be in agreement that we shouldn't love the devil. I think we're all in agreement that there's such a thing as spiritual warfare.
No, we're not in agreement about that because we can't even agree on what a spirit is. Is a spirit the ghost you leave behind when you die? Is it the soul that's animating your body? Is it something different? By the way, in the fucking Dresden Files, those are two different things, just so you know. Is it instead an apparition that is conjured by a person? Is it instead a thing that is pulled from hell and is trying to walk the earth in a phasing state? Which one? Which spirit? Because all of those are different definitions of spirits. And I also don't believe any of them fucking exist. So No, we don't actually agree on that one.
A battle going on behind the scenes that we can't see with physical eyes.
I want to look at the comments real quick. Okay, so from Abby Latimer, as a qualified mental health professional who has worked with children and families, I don't find it reassuring to hear this dismissed as simply killing the devil. Children, especially younger children, do not process symbolism, fantasy, and reality the same way adults do. Their developmental stage matters. Watching an adult portray shooting another person with what appears to be a firearm while encouraging children to cheer sends a message that deserves careful consideration, regardless of the intended spiritual metaphor. Intent does not erase impact. We know from decades of child development and psychological research that children learn through modeling, imitation, and emotional experiences. Adults have a responsibility to demonstrate healthy ways of understanding concepts like good versus evil and faith without normalizing or celebrating acts of violence. As somebody who's also a mandated reporter, I take children's physical and psychological well-being seriously. My concern isn't about theology or religious freedom. It's about how experiences like this affect children's understanding of violence and whether adults are exercising sound judgment when children are involved. We can teach spiritual truths without using simulated shootings and asking children to celebrate them. Children deserve messages that cultivate empathy, safety, and critical thinking, not confusion about when violence is acceptable. I largely agree. I agree with that statement. The problem is not the symbolism. The problem is not how you articulated this in your response video. The problem is you simulated a firing squad in front of a bunch of fucking children. You normalized it to them. Which part of the commandments is this teaching? So trying not to imagine what's on this guy's hard drive. We just made crosses with popsicle sticks at Bible school. No wonder Protestant churches close every hour. Guys, he's quite frankly befuddled. Give him a break. There's no hate like Al-Qaeda. So were those men shooting the other man good or bad? Jesus.
We here have a very serious addiction ministry, have for years.
Tina 2, thank you so much for the raid. How was your stream? What were you doing? We are covering some heavy shit, so I want to give you that fair warning as you find your way into here. Just letting you know that's what's on the agenda right now, and it's a little spoopy, and I am sorry, but we are talking about a church that did a simulated public firing squad execution. So I'm going to restate my trigger warning from before. That's what we're watching. So, and now we are currently watching the pastor give his ukulele-laden apology video about it. You know, insofar as it's even that. Hype says, oh, we talked about this for a little bit. Okay, cool, sweet. I don't have to. Nope, never mind. Y'all are already cursed.
Scenes that we can't see with physical eyes. We here have a very serious addiction ministry, have for years, reaching those that have been broken by drugs and alcohol.
So you break them with bullets instead?
Some horrible addiction that's taken from them everything that's good.
Okay. So you decided to teach children that shooting them would be the way to do this?
And we welcome them to come, and we give them the truth that Jesus loves them. That
he loves them so much that if you're considered evil, you'll get killed by firing squad.
The devil does hate them. They can be forgiven, can get a new life, can start over. And it's been one of the themes of our church.
So, do you recognize what's happening here in this? So, he hasn't talked about the firing squad specifically. He hasn't talked about any damage it could do. Instead, what he is doing is called deflection. He is deflecting every single accusation, saying, but look at all the good we do. But look at all the good we do. Sir, I am not arguing whether or not your ministry has a net positive or net negative effect on the world. That is largely not something that I care about right here. What I am communicating is that this is the type of thing that fucks up kids for life. Period. Literally says, I can't look into his eyes. They're cold and psychotic. It gives me chills. And then, okay, we got the one actually, like, commenting in favor. Good grief, people. People take one snippet of something and run with it. Then all the Karens and Bobs come out. This church is a beautiful church family. Some of the most genuine people my family and I have ever had the pleasure of meeting. Yeah, they say that at KKK rallies too. I'm not shitting you, actually. As somebody who lives near Stone Mountain, where the third resurgence of the KKK happened, I have friends who grew up with the fucking Klan. And their experiences with the Klan were not, these are evil racists. They were, these are the people that come over for dinner, and they are neat, and they are respectable, and they are wonderful people. That was their fucking perspective on Klansmen, because they grew up with them being normalized. Fucking Klansmen people. You can do this whole, like, it's actually a loving church family. I don't give a shit about any of that, nor do I have to. We are criticizing a single thing the church family has done. The people mocked, criticized, and hated Jesus, so it's only normal his people get mocked, hated, and criticized as well. Christian persecution complex, my favorite one. So, this is largely a technique used by a lot of people who are Christian in order to justify any action they do, because any action they do can't possibly be that bad because, well, you're the one scrutinizing them. That means that they're on the right path. They're on Jesus's path right now. They see pushback as evidence that they are correct, as opposed to evidence that they should self-scrutinize and determine whether or not they are.
I think of how many times I've visited a jail, and I leave there heartbroken over what sin and Satan has done to that poor person, and pray that, God, I pray they let you change their life. And every year, for 32 years, we've had this evil against good in our vacation Bible school.
You understand how that makes it worse, right? You do see how that makes it worse. Let me explain, actually, just real quick. So let's say that I was a rapist, as an example, right? And let's say that I finally got caught harming someone. And my excuse was, well, I've been doing it for 32 years. That made it worse, didn't it? That context, in fact, made it way worse. It made it more spooky. It made it far more dangerous than the original statement, the original situation. Now there's not one victim, there's however many over the course of 32 years. Yeah, same fucking thing here.
The last several years, we've had the Commandos for Christ that has the gospel gun. It's the answer for the devil.
The gospel gun from the Commandos of Christ. So, modern day crusader paladins and not the hot buff women kind? That doesn't make it better either. Just like says, if a mosque was taped doing this, they would be saying, see how violent they are? Exactly. No, fucking, if this was happening at a mosque, they would say that it's terrorism drills. So that people were more prepared to, like, kill American citizens.
The gospel and the word of God. It's the answer. The clip you saw was simply killing the devil. And I'll be honest with you, if I could kill the devil every day and raise him up and kill him again, I'd do it. He's the one we hate.
Right, but why are you normalizing the firing squad thing to the kids? Like, again, saying, oh, we've done this for 32 years, that doesn't make it better. That just means that it's infinitely worse than what we originally saw. Like, when Kristen over here says, good grief, they take one clip. Actually, no, that's not what's going on here. We see the apology video, and the apology video has basically just admitted that there's not just one clip, there's thousands. And that's fucking scary.
We are not allowed by God to hate anybody else, not even our enemies. And that's all that clip was. Now, you may not like how we did it. You may not like
that is in fact the problem. Yes, the how you did it is the issue. Like, the fact that you are this old and you cannot understand something that I would have figured out at, like, age of 16 is beyond me.
We used those air rifles. They're basically paintball guns.
Who cares? That's not what you were communicating.
And maybe you're right, maybe we're wrong.
We are and you are, yes.
But understand, We're painting a real picture to kids visibly, what's going on invisibly. And we use all week to teach them, tell the truth, don't tell a lie. Work hard, don't be lazy. Clean up after yourself, don't expect somebody else to do it. Love your mom and dad, don't disobey them.
So, I agree with most of those, except the last one. I feel like trying to communicate to people that that is a thing they must do just kind of opens up a gateway for when abusive parents exist. So, but that's besides the point. So what you are explaining to me is that you are communicating a lot of decent ideas to children. And if you are in fact doing that, congratulations. All that's being asked of you is to not communicate this one again. Because the way you are communicating it is, you know, normalizing violence to kids.
Honor everybody, love God, but hate sin because it'll hurt you, and hate the devil who tries to influence you to sin. That's basically what that skit was about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you know how when a comedian is saying a joke and they have to read the room to determine whether or not a joke is landing? I would argue that your skit's not being very effective here. So, the idea of using a skit that is provocative in order to communicate an idea to a child so that it sticks in. Let me give you an example of how to do that and how to do it correctly. Now, I have had my old history teacher on stream before, and there have been things that have happened with my old history teacher because I pay attention on Facebook. But there's a thing that my old history teacher did for me in high school that I think would be really, really helpful for more people to do. And it was basically making us have an object lesson on the things he was communicating. And one of these object lessons was about the slave trade. Now, one of the things that we hear all the time in regards to the slave trade is how many bodies were packed on the boats and how hard it was for them to think, how hard it was for them to sleep, breathe, eat, all of it. How awful an experience it was to be on one of those boats sailing to here. So when we got to that part of our studies, you know how he communicated that one? He had one student who had one job. Not let students into the room except for one at a time. Students were let in one at a time. They were asked, hey, do you want to participate in this or not? Almost everybody said yes, and their hands got duct taped behind their backs. The desks were arranged in such a way that they formed a rectangle with one opening. And so you went to the corner of the rectangle. And then the next kid would come in, their hands were duct taped together, and you went to the next part of the rectangle. The rule was that no matter how much room was in the rectangle, you had to pack yourself as closely against the next person as you possibly could. And then with us all packed there, unable to move, the lesson started. Pan says, see, that's cool of your teacher to do something like that. Right. If you said that you had an issue and you didn't want to participate, you could. But largely, it was a way to teach that lesson to us while also making us experience what that lesson was like for the people who had that happen to them. Oh, and the dean walked in halfway through, saw what was happening, and then just said, oh, okay, cool, and just walked away. Because this is a thing that was happening a lot. And you may go, oh, isn't that just as bad? No, not really, because what was the lesson being told? How was it being told? Well, it was a thing you could say you didn't want to do, and also it was a thing that you, when you did it, all you were doing was learning what it felt like empathetically to be in that situation. I liked that shit. I found out in a conversation with him later that he stopped doing that particular lesson a few years after I left high school, but I did tell him that, hey, I've told my stream multiple times about that particular lesson and how much of an impact that one had on me. I've literally never forgotten that fucking class for a reason, because it was made very, very memorable, and the message was very, very clear. Jim says, were the parents involved in allowing this lesson? That would cause issues. The parents were not told. But again, you could just say you didn't want to. Like, I'm not going to argue this point. Apologies. But I will be ignoring arguing this point from this point on. My perspective on this one was, hey, if you want to do what this guy is doing, there's a way you can do it. Also, Axa points out, why would the parents need to know? Yeah, your child had a lesson about the slave trade. They were asked to take part in a group activity. That is functionally what happened. But that particular one, I'd say that's how you do that. That's how you would handle that. You are not normalizing fucking shitty behavior to kids. You are making them empathize with a person in a bad situation.
If you had been here, you'd have saw the building up to that point that, boy, they had it coming to them. So all week long, they'd been sowing mischief, and we'd be having a good time, and that's what the devil does, friend.
So the lesson is, when somebody sows mischief, shoot them. All right, hold on. I'm going to go load my 9. Oh, wait, no, it's already loaded all the time because self-defense is a thing.
He's trying to infiltrate our homes. He's trying to infiltrate our government. He's trying to infiltrate everything. He's a bad customer.
The devil's trying to infiltrate our government, and that's why we need to infiltrate our government. Seven Mountains Mandate. Huzzah. I have to say this one every single time, just so people know. The Seven Mountains Mandate is the idea from a group of Christian think tanks that there are 7 pillars of society, and Christianity should have ownership over the majority, if not all of them. These pillars are politics. These pillars are entertainment. I'm actually going to find what the 7 pillars are real quick, just to double check and make sure that I have them. 7 Mountains Mandate Pillars. Ba 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 ba. The pillars are religion, family, education, government, media, arts and entertainment, and music and business. They are the 7 pillars of society that control of or massive influence over should be handed primarily to Christians in order to keep the country along the proper path towards the apocalypse, actually. And I'm not even shitting on that one. Like, just read Revelation. That is the ultimate end goal. There's an apocalypse they want. Pan says the devil can change his form to be whatever he needs to deceive you. Yeah, sometimes he looks like an old pastor. Hey, you made it to the end. I want to give an extra thanks to the patrons who allow me to do this full time. I want to thank Aaron Rail, Astral, Britzkrieg, Jemshin, Poundini, Red Joker, Victoria, Jonas, Craig, Tarika, Fireshard, Smiling GM, John, Dren Hadamada, Creeper, Sagitt, you know I'm not saying that last part, Sylvie Snow, Valis of Seraph, Ottoman Angel, Rooster Rachel, and Fire Panda, who are all my $20 and up patrons.